Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, November 27th, 2016. This is episode 1344. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is literally brought to you by Sonic, Twit's 10 gigabit fiber internet service provider. Ooh, I love it. Join Sonic's internet revolution as they bring fast, affordable internet, phone, and TV to homes and businesses all over California. Visit sonic.com/twit to sign up for service and receive your first month free. Well, hey, how are you today? Good to see you. Leo Laporte here. I am the Tech Guy. That's what they call me. That means, I guess, I cover tech. Computers, yeah, if people still use them. I mean, really, computers no longer mean that laptop or desktop. They can mean everything from your car to your phone. Cover all that, to your microwave oven, to your refrigerator. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number if you have a question or comment, a suggestion. Yesterday, last show, we did some fun term definitions, bandwidth in the home versus bandwidth in the air and stuff like that. Love to talk about those kinds of things. Try to translate geek. 888-827-5536. That's toll free in the U.S. or Canada. We're heard all over the United States, but also all over the world thanks to the internet. And that means if you're outside the U.S. or Canada, you can also call using Skype because it's a toll-free number here, and that way Skype won't charge you anything. Website is techguylabs.com. When I talk about stuff, we put links, we put information there. The audio from the show, the video from the show, because we shoot video too for some reason. I don't know, nothing more boring on camera than a radio show. But if people are visual, so we give you the video. Why not? I'm recording the audio. Might as well record the video too. That's all available at the website after the fact, and also your chance to comment there. If you hear something, you don't have to. I know, for years people would listen to this show and shout at me. I know, I could feel the vibe, man, coming through the speaker, man. Shout. No, Leo, that's not, you're wrong. And now you don't have to shout anymore. You have many outlets. You can go to the website, techguylabs.com, leave a comment. You can also go to our chat room. We have a wonderful chat room. And that's real-time shouting. When the chat room shouts, I see it right in front of me. And that chat room is irc.twit.tv. irc.twit.tv. And really, the chat room is a huge help. Huge help. They're kind of my research staff, my comedy writers. They keep me honest, and you're more than welcome to join that Team Tech Guy in there at irc.twit.tv. The numbers are in. Black Friday. It's funny, this has become an international event, even though, Black Friday is in the U.S. the day after our Thanksgiving, the fourth Friday of the month. But, since we're the only country in the world that celebrates Thanksgiving on the third Thursday, or was it fourth Thursday? I can never remember, whatever it is. I guess it's the fourth Thursday. We're the only, it's the third? Heather says it's the third. She's holding up three fingers. Either that or she's making the consciousness 3 signal. It's the third Thursday. So the Black Friday is the third Friday. Is that it? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I don't know. We don't know. This is not our job. Our job is merely to answer computer questions. However, a worldwide phenomenon, and Adobe, is oddly enough, Adobe keeps track of this stuff. I'm not sure why. They say 75% of transactions kind of float through them for some reason. They must have a business I don't know about besides Photoshop and Lightroom. Adobe now says the final numbers, the count is in. They count the Black Friday sales a lot faster than we count votes in a presidential election, don't we? The numbers are in. The Black Friday, $3.34 billion in online sales. Online sales only, we're talking about. $3.34 billion. That's up 21% over last year. Wow. But get this is the real big change. Mobile sales, a third of that, more than a third of that was mobile. People buying stuff on their phone. And that was up a third, 33% over last year. Big jump. This is really part of a whole transition, isn't it? From computer. I guess it kind of started with the desktop computer, the Apple II and the IBM PC, and then it became the laptop computer about 10, 15 years ago. Everybody started getting laptops. And then it went to tablets and finally to phones. It's been just shrinking and becoming more and more mobile. And with internet access available, pretty much everywhere now, thanks to the cellular carriers, this is the primary computing platform. And I think everybody is starting to kind of see this. PC sales plummeting, mobile sales through the roof. Apple dominates, by the way. They don't dominate in terms of units sold. That's Android easily. But the Android phones are, the unit sales are kind of tilted heavily towards the cheaper phones, $50 phones, $100 phones, which sell quite well worldwide. But Apple has 91% of the profit. So because they don't discount the iPhone, and it's an expensive phone. So they are funneling 91% of the profit into their pockets, and that is a huge business for Apple. Mobile is king. And everybody from Apple to Lenovo and Dell and IBM and to Facebook and Twitter are thinking of how they can make mobile their future going forward. So that's you just look at online sales from Black Friday. That tells you something right there. We should probably start a segment on the show: Annals of Artificial Intelligence, Machine Learning at Work. This is every week now we get another story, amazing story about machine intelligence. The latest is, well, there's a couple. First of all, for the first time ever, a computer is better at lip reading than the best humans. Computers now, by a long shot, 2 or 3 times better. Still not perfect. The computer was able to read, I think, 24% of the samples. It's a test. It's actually been designed to test lip reading. They have a bunch of video clips that they show the human lip reader, and they're challenging clips. The human lip reader's score is, pretty low. The computer was able to do about twice as well. 24% have got it accurate. So still a long way from HAL 9000. Remember, that was the whole point of 2001: A Space Odyssey, with a sci-fi movie, that HAL 9000, I think I can give you a spoiler now. He read the astronaut's lips and learned that they were thinking of turning him off. HAL 9000, the artificially intelligent computer that ran the spaceship. So he, to save himself, tried to lock one of the astronauts out of the ship. Open the pod bay door, Hal. I'm sorry, Dave. I can't do that because you were going to turn me off. I won't tell you what happened. We'll leave some suspense if you haven't seen that movie. It's a great movie. Although it looks a little dated, special effects-wise. I mean, it was made 50 years ago. 40 years ago. Almost 50. Anyway, artificial intelligence slowly getting to the point that it was supposed to be by the year 2001. Also, Google has announced that they have this Google Translate thing. And they've announced that Google Translate is now able to not only translate languages it knows, but it's starting to get pretty good at translating languages it has never seen before. What? What? Zero-shot translation with Google's multilingual neural machine translation system, reads the blog post. Google Translate, if you've not used it, it's a mobile app that's pretty amazing. When I travel, I take it with me because it, first of all, understands 103 languages and translates them back to English, which is what I need. But you can also speak into it in English, and it will translate it into many languages. It translates now. It's being used so widely, 140 billion words a day. But in September, they moved it over to HAL 9000, to the smart artificial intelligence, which apparently does a better job because it doesn't just understand word for word. It starts to understand sentences, which is a big problem for computers. You get weird translations because they understand individual vocabulary words, but not the whole thing. Well, now it's understanding languages it's never seen before. I don't know what that means, but it scares me. Do you speak geek? I do. Let's talk. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So the idea is they train a multilingual system with Japanese to English and back, and Korean to English and back. So now it's been trained with these translations. Then they ask the question, can we translate between a language pair which the system has never seen before? So we've been teaching it Japanese to English and Korean to English, but what about Korean to Japanese? As an example of this, translations between Korean and Japanese where Korean to Japanese examples were never shown to the system. Impressively, according to Google, the answer is yes. It can generate reasonable Korean to Japanese translations even though it's never been taught to do so. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Do you think this is a good idea? HAL 9000 was a female originally. Okay, but I'm sorry, Dave. Sounds like a guy to me. I can't do that. Hal, opening the pod bay door, please. No, Dave. Not today, Dave. I don't think so, Dave. Do I have my sound effects on here? I didn't move them over. I gotta move them over. I should put my sound effects on the Dropbox. I'm using OwnCloud. OwnCloud now. Yeah, Microsoft translates Klingon. So there. I bet that comes in handy a lot, Mike. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Heather Hamann, besides giving us calendar information, is also here to answer the phones and prepare you for your amazing impression of a questioner on the air. Who do we have out there to start the program with?
Larry was a little cowlicky, but I was able to groom his hair.
You pasted down his cowlick.
And he's phoning from Menifee, California.
Menifee. Thank you, Heather. Hello, Larry from Menifee. How are you today? Welcome.
Well, fine. W6TWT. This is WB6AZB going 48 years in February. How you doing, bud?
Oh, man, he's talking that ham talk. That's so sexy. I'm well. I'm very well. Thanks to call for calling in. I appreciate it.
Well, this is the only way I can get a QSO with you.
I know. I figure I talk so much all day, every day on the radio that I figure maybe I'll just wait until I retire and I have the need to get on the air.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be there, hopefully.
I'm sure it will be. We need hams. Hams are a great natural resource. Not just in the U.S., but all over the world.
Exactly.
What can I do for you?
Well, I had a twofold question, but we'll go with the first one for right now, and that's the my wife has an older Tab 3, and she wants to take those ebooks that she gets and put them on her SD card and just bring them up at will, And
what does she use for an e-reader?
Well, right now she's using Kindle, but I know there's a lot of different ones out there that,
So there are a variety. So first of all, the Kindle uses the MOBI, M-O-B-I format, which is a proprietary Amazon format for these documents.
Yeah, that's what she uses.
Yeah. The problem with MOBI is, only a Kindle can read it. There are e-book standards. There's a much better one, in my opinion, called EPUB that is universal. So the first thing she would need to do, I think copy protection may foil this, but there are programs that will convert from the MOBI, if she can get access to the file, and I'm somewhere that's stored in a file system somewhere. If it's on her computer, she has direct access to it. So she needs to get hold of the MOBI file and convert the MOBI file to an EPUB format. And Actually, if she's using Kindle, she can just move those Mobi files. So they should just move right along. Although I do believe, I have to believe, I'm not, this is just a guess, but I do believe that there's some sort of copy protection on there. I would expect that's why Amazon uses it, right?
Yeah,
And now, if you use a converter that converts the Mobi to an EPUB format, I think that would probably get rid of the copy protection as well. And the program I recommend for that for Mac or PC is Calibre, spelled in the Canadian or British style with a Calibre. It's calibre-ebook.com. And it is, if you use ebooks, it is kind of a great tool. Is she on a Mac or a PC, or is she only on a tablet?
Well, she has a PC, but she's using the Tab 3 right now.
Yeah, see, so Android, if you use so unlike the iPad, the nice thing about the Android is if you can put a file manager on there. Samsung provides one, but you can put even a more elaborate one if you wish. And then you can just dig around and you'll find those Mobi files.
Okay.
And you know, if she's going to continue to use the Kindle program, it's no problem because she just moves it to some other device. And so here's the thing. Let's say you get a new tablet, install the Kindle program, and open it and download a book, a free book, or even just the Kindle manual, because that'll create the folder structure that you'll need. You understand what I'm talking about here? We're getting a little geeky here, but
yeah, I got
you need the folder structure first, so you know where to put those files. Then you can just take the files with a file manager. On a Samsung tablet, they have you can actually connect storage devices or even connect a computer to the USB port and just use that to move them off. You could also email them if you want. You know, there's lots of ways you get those files off, and then put them somewhere else. If you're using the Kindle program, you have to log into Amazon anyway. At that point, it validates it and says, okay, even though these are copy protected, that you own them and you can read them. The issue would be if you were going to use a non-Kindle program to read them, then you'd have to somehow strip off the copy protection.
Okay.
Does that all make sense? So basically, it's a file. You just need to know the book is in a file. It's in a .mobi format, M-O-B-I, and you just move it somewhere else, and you open it with your Kindle app, and everything will be fine. I think the Kindle app is actually a great way to read. She doesn't want to get rid of that, I presume.
No.
Yeah, in fact, if she's bought those books on Kindle on Amazon, then she just puts the Kindle app anywhere else, logs into her account, and she'll see her entire library. There is a limitation. In fact, I know there's copy protection, come to think of it, because there is a limitation on the number of devices you can open a book on. I think it's 5 or 6 devices. At some point it says, no, you've got this book on too many devices. You can't open it on a new one. But she won't run up against that. I run up against that because I'm always using new tablets all the time, new phones. Okay? And if you want to convert it and use a different program, I love Calibre. What a great program that is. 73, Larry.
73, Leo. And thank you. I'll be calling you again.
I hope you will. It's great to talk to you. I support our amateur radio brothers. Robert, New Orleans. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Robert.
Hi, Leo. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Welcome. Thank you.
Well, I absolutely love your show, even the promotions that you have to do with your advertisers.
Hey, if we didn't have them, we wouldn't have a show. I'd be sitting here doing it for free, which I probably don't tell the boss, but I probably would do. But somebody's got to pay the rent at some point.
Well, let me tell you, this one paid off real well. Braintree was a find and a half. I learned from you about Braintree. I went and got it, put it on our website, and was blown away.
Oh, that's nice.
Simple.
Yeah, they're a PayPal company. That PayPal bought them not so long ago, and they are an advertiser, not on this show, but on some of our podcasts. And what they are is a payment system. So you wanted to add mobile payments or payments to your website, and it's a lot easier to have them do it. In fact, I always recommend the last thing you want to do is write kind of anything that needs to be secure. That's a very specialized area. We see people make mistakes all the time in crypto and security. That's where you don't want to mess up.
Yeah, definitely don't want to mess up there.
No.
But the best part about Braintree was literally don't think. Just follow the very simple instructions. It works fabulous.
I like stuff like that. I can do cookbook. That's called cookbook computing. I'm very good at cookbook computing. Just follow the steps. Hey, I got to take a break, but hang on, okay? Well, we'll get to your question when we come back, Robert.
Great.
All right. Take care. Hold on. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls coming up. Don't tell the boss. Well, there's an interesting debate going on. Well, I don't know if it's a debate. I read one article. Okay. Clearly there's this disruptive force going on right now where much as the Industrial Revolution put a lot of laborers out of work 200, 300 years ago, maybe less, 200 years ago, the information revolution is costing a lot of people in manufacturing and so forth their jobs. And it's actually more complicated than that. It's, globalization. It's the ability to move things around quickly. And it's just we've reinvented how we make things. And there are a lot of people out of work. And, of course, the consensus view is, well, we have to create more jobs, and there's debate over how to do that, whether you try to bring manufacturing jobs back or you train people for the new form of work. But I think there's also an issue, and a number of people have written about this, including Jeremy Rifkin in his book The End of Work. There's an issue where there may not be enough jobs for everybody. But I just read an article saying, well, that's fine. The problem is it's a change in how we value ourselves, because certainly, most of us in the West value ourselves on what we do for a living. That's our job is how we define ourselves. I certainly do. And but what if you didn't have to make a living somehow? And this is the magical part. I'm not sure exactly how this works. But the theory, Mark Andreessen, who created Netscape, is one of the people who thinks this, is that automation and information technology are going to be so productive that there'll be this surplus, and not everybody will have to work. Most people won't have to work, or you'll only work when you want to, and there's still enough surplus that you will somehow have some guaranteed minimum income. There are problems with that as well, but which are complicated, but. The problem is we define ourselves by our work, right? So if there's no work, that's depressing for people. It's like, I feel useless. And so I've been reading articles lately saying, well, we got to rethink that. Maybe leisure is, our future. Well, that's the point, is that your existence gets paid for because there's just a surplus. The way we've done it in the past, when there's a surplus, is because somebody else was working really hard and you were the king and you had serfs and there was a surplus. But now the robots and the computers are working very hard. Where was this article I read? I had problems with it, but it was in the Atlantic. A Life Without Work. There's some hand waving in here because, he says basically the government guarantees a minimum income in some way. And, you ask the same question I do, which is where does this money come from? But it's an interesting thought. Yeah, the guy who owns the robots wants to keep the money. That's exactly the problem right now. And so what you have now is massive income inequalities. You have the beneficiaries of the information age becoming wildly rich. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We were talking to Robert in Nolens. Hi, Robert.
Hey, Leo. It is so nice to talk to you. I really need your help with this one. We face a dilemma with our website, as I was talking about with the Braintree payments. We put that on. But one of the things that we have trouble with is maintaining good contact with our customers and obtaining new customers.
Yes.
So
It's
we
kind of
use
the universal problem, isn't it?
yeah. So we use Google AdWords and we use Facebook ads.
Okay.
And it's a bit of a struggle because it's expensive. And because we're a Christmas seasonal website, customers forget about us. So we spend a lot of money getting the same people to come back again and again. Now, of course, we do email follow-up and that type of thing. But I was wondering what your take or what your opinion on using Google ads versus Facebook ads for our website, which would be more effective and how should we focus our efforts so we'll get the best result?
I'm no expert on this, but I do watch it from kind of the outside with great interest because things are clearly changing. And it'd be my best guess at this point that the most effective, efficient way to spend your money would be Facebook. But you need to use it effectively. And this is where finding some expertise would be helpful because, you could see it as expensive. Certainly you're going to spend some money. But what's unique about Facebook, and by the way, we may have mixed feelings about this, but it knows more about its customers than anybody. And you can take advantage of that if you are savvy. For instance, and this requires, I think, finding somebody who's really good at Facebook. And it's a modern skill. It's like somebody who's become expert in the last year or two because this is brand new stuff. But for instance, you have a mailing list now of addresses. One of the things you can do that's not widely known with Facebook is you can feed them that address list. Now, Facebook has very, very many email addresses, probably a large number of those people. But what it also has is associated with each of those email addresses on that mailing list, your mailing list, is a profile of those people. One of the things Facebook can do is you can feed it a list and say, I want people like these people. These are your best customers, presumably. I want people like these people who are not on this list. Give them an ad. Now, how efficient is that? You're reaching people who are the most likely to buy your stuff, but are not currently on your mailing list. That's exactly who you want. And that's the key to becoming efficient at spending your money on Facebook, is not wasting money. The old adage with advertising is, I know my advertising dollar is working. Half of it's working. I just don't know which half. And that was the way it was when you bought radio or TV ads. You kind of had to just say, well, I'm going to scattershot these ads, and I know some portion of them are hitting the right people. Well, we're in a brave new world. Now, I'll tell you who did this with great effect is our president-elect. Turns out that his son-in-law, and we're just starting to learn about this. It's fascinating. Jared Kushner, a smart guy, smart kid, learned about this, and he went out and he got a tutorial. He said, I'm going to find the smartest Facebook people and find out what they know. And what they did is steer him to a company in England called Cambridge Analytica. Cambridge Analytica does quizzes on Facebook, among other things, to find out more about you. So if you've ever been on Facebook and you've taken a dopey quiz, which Downton Abbey cast member are you most like or whatever, these are fun. People spread them like wildfire. But there's a secret agenda behind them. They use these to learn more about you, your interests, your style, your personality. Not just what you buy, but for instance, if you're a gloomy Gus, or you're, a happy-go-lucky person. They learn all sorts of things. And this information is then stored by companies like Cambridge Analytica. And then it was used very effectively with highly targeted ads. Most of us did not see these ads. Sometimes they're called dark advertising on Facebook because they were so highly targeted. For instance, let's say you identify that the Second Amendment and gun rights are a big reason for you to get elected. Well, you may say, oh, let's just put some gun right ads. In fact, what we'll do, the old way of saying is, let's find some people who are members of the NRA and let's advertise to them. They're much more sophisticated now. They would say, all right, if you're fit the profile, you're a gun owner, you're a member of the NRA, let's send you an ad that's appropriate to your personality type. So if you're a gloomy Gus, we're going to send you an ad that says everything's terrible. And we got to save our guns because they're going to take them. If you're a happy-go-lucky person, you say, isn't it great? Isn't gun ownership wonderful? And we'd like to keep that going. In other words, you do more than just find the right person. You actually tailor the ad to their personality type. And this proved to be immensely effective. So I'm just giving you a taste of what Facebook's capable of. This is so much more than AdWords, right?
Right. Very much so. In our case, with our website, we're dealing with a specific group of people. Our ads are directed at grandparents or parents of kids.
So Facebook's much better able to tell you that, right? Already you know that. Because you can buy a Facebook ad says I want to talk to grandparents only.
Right. Exactly. And so for us, we definitely want to go that way. And for us, our website being targeted to grandparents, what we do is we sell Santa Claus letters.
Perfect.
May I mention our website?
Yes, I know that's the real reason for your call, so go ahead.
Not exactly.
No, I'm glad to give you a plug. What's the website?
It's kidsbelieveletters.com.
Oh, isn't that great? But, here's what's so exciting about this internet revolution is this can exist thanks to the internet. Your business is an internet business, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
But pre-internet, pre-Facebook, it's hard to imagine how this would work. You'd have to advertise in the back of Reader's Digest, and people would have to send you a letter or maybe phone you and buy the... I mean, it would be so much more complicated. But the internet has empowered this, and so you can be living in a rural area. As long as you have internet connectivity, you can create new businesses. And this is, I think, how we have to start thinking about the future. And I talked about this, I think, last week, is instead of doing jobs that are onesie-twosie retailer, we have to start thinking, and kids, if you're listening, if you're in college, thinking about your future in a way that leverages these new tools and create stuff where you can have a mass audience instead of the people who live in your community, that kind of thing. And I think there are ways to do this.
Absolutely mass.
Yeah.
Absolutely large. And for us, with Facebook, the word of mouth side works great. But I guess my last part of my question is when I compare the cost of Facebook ads targeted like what you're speaking of, they are very expensive.
Well, yes, and that's why you have to become an expert and spend your dollar wisely. If you spent $5 to acquire somebody that spent $20 with you, it would be worth it. So you need to make sure that every dollar you spend is spent wisely and that you have a high likelihood of getting to that person and making that person a customer. Better yet, a customer for life. And so this is where... It takes some sophistication. I mean, Jared Kushner went out and realized this is what I need to do. I need to learn how this works and find the best experts and hire them. And that's what they did. And you see the result. It was very, very effective. That's the same kind of thing you need to do. And in my opinion, at this point, only Facebook gives you those kinds of tools. Now, the next big question is, where can I learn this? And that I do not know. And I would love to get some input from all of you if you know an expert. I'm sure there are lots of scammers out there, too. There always will be. I know how to do it. They'll charge you plenty of money for nothing. You want to get somebody who really knows what they're doing. And yes, it's expensive, but I think it's worth it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, I just started using Nextdoor. It's funny that you should mention that. That's a very interesting play on this. This is a neighborhood Facebook, essentially. And we have a Petaluma next door. We live in an interesting world, I must say. And I don't know. I think we all just have to help each other. I mean, that's kind of why I got started in doing what I do 40 years ago. Well, I didn't start doing so this is my 40th anniversary in broadcasting. But I guess always the reason I wanted to be in broadcasting is, well, I wanted to entertain initially, right? But then as time went by, I decided I want to entertain, but I also want to inform. And when did I start doing? 25 years ago. I started doing technology radio. And at the time, of course, I had a selfish goal, which, as I've mentioned before, was because I couldn't afford all the cool gizmos. So that's actually why I started writing in the late 70s and early 80s, so that I could get free software and hardware. But it soon evolved into, I want to share what I know about technology to help people use technology to better themselves, because there's also a dark side to all of this. For instance, it's very valuable to know that those Facebook quizzes really have a subtle secret purpose, which is to know more about you, to target you. And it's important that you know that, right? So I think sharing that information is valuable. And then sharing the information of how you can use the new world of technology to make a living or to make your life better, to change the world, make the world better. That'd be good. All of that. Surface comes Monday. No, it didn't come today because it's FedEx. I should check though, shouldn't I? Father Robert's a huge Synology fan. And Synology is Synology and Ready NAS are my two favorite NASs. Although I've been happy with the Drobo. I've been using a Drobo 5N at home. And that's how I run my own cloud server now. And that's been working quite well. So I have about 100 gigs. It's kind of my documents folder. And it's on OwnCloud now. And so now I'm able to use OwnCloud on all my devices to sync up. So it's like my personal Dropbox. It works quite well. Synology will do it too. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, we're having some fun with music here. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Website techguylabs.com. Carlos in Santo Domingo. Hi, Carlos. Welcome.
Hi, Leo. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you for listening in Santo Domingo. That's great.
Yeah, it's been about 2 years since I first listened to you.
Right on. Wonderful. You listen on the podcasts, or how do you listen?
I usually listen to the podcast on Pocket Cast app.
Excellent.
Sometimes I watch the show also on the Tweet app on my Apple TV.
Very nice. I really appreciate that. Thank you. What can I do for you?
Well, I have an iPhone 6, and I also have a GoPro camera. And when I take pictures with both of them, I want to get all the pictures on both devices to my iCloud photo library and my Google's photo library.
Perfect. Easily done if you have the bandwidth, easily done. So you already have the GoPro app, I'm sure, on your iPhone, right?
No, I don't. I do not transfer my pictures to my phone because I prefer to look at the pictures and delete the ones that I don't want, and I do that better on my Photos app on my Mac. Of course you do.
So the idea is, this is how it generally will work. So what you're doing, I understand now, is you're taking the GoPro, you take the memory card out of it, and you copy them over to your Mac. And you could certainly do that. And then, of course, once it's in Photos on the Mac, you delete the ones you don't want, and you turn on iCloud Photo Library, and it will automatically get up to the iCloud. What I do is I take pictures with a variety of cameras. I have a Sony camera, I have a Canon camera, and both of those, and the GoPro 2, have apps that you can put on the phone that will not automatically, you have to do this, but and I do it at the end of every day after I take pictures. It's kind of how I back up images. It's not the highest quality, right? The highest quality I would then put on the Mac and edit that way. But to get a quick backup of the JPEGs, I'll copy from all of those devices. Sony has an app, GoPro has an app, Canon has an app, onto my iPhone. On my iPhone, I turn on iPhoto or iCloud Photo Library backup. Yeah. I also use Google Photos, and I turn on backup on Google Photos. Unfortunately, on the iPhone, in order for that to work, you have to launch Google Photos. It can't work in the background.
Yeah.
So you launch it, and then it backs up. Now I have, without having done anything, I have copies on iCloud and Google Photos, just as you want, of everything I've done. I still go back home and take the memory cards and copy them over because that's the higher quality. But at least if I lost my camera or I lost my laptop on it. I do this particularly when I'm traveling. I will have at least those JPEGs. There's also another advantage to doing this, as you know, especially with Google Photos. The artificial intelligence built into Apple's Photos and Google Photos is great. I can type into Google Photos, I want all the pictures I took in the Dominican Republic last summer that have me in them. And it will give me all, it does this search. It's amazing. And so I love having the artificial intelligence that's built into Google Photos applied to all my photos. So that's a workflow that's worked very well for me. I still make a copy of the RAW, on the GoPro it's not RAW, but of the high quality video and audio. Still make a copy of that, back that up to an external drive, back that up onto the cloud, all of those things. But I think all of that will work. It really depends on how much space you have on your phone, whether you want to copy things to your phone. Google Photos is nice on the iPhone because you can say, delete everything that I've backed up. Say again?
I do like that idea, but when I transfer the photos from my GoPro to my phone, I get to back them up to my cloud.
Right.
That way, but if I go to my computer, the way you say you do it, that you transfer them later to your computer, you do not put them in the Photos app. You leave them outside in a folder or something.
Well, yeah, you'll get duplicates if you import them into Photos.
Exactly. That's what I...
Yeah, because you have now, and that may be an issue. It's certainly not an issue on Google because it's unlimited storage. But on Photos, iCloud is not unlimited. You pay for every byte. So, that may be not what you want. So maybe I guess you'd have to figure out which you'd prefer to have. You know what you might do is not use iCloud Photo Library on your phone, not back up to iCloud on your phone, just back up the RAWs to iCloud, save the originals on iCloud, and use Google Photos for kind of the backup. Because if you're not using the high quality, the full quality, original quality on the Google Photos, you have unlimited storage. So,
yeah, but for example, when I transfer a picture to that's another concern that I have. When I transfer the photos to my Mac, the photos upload via iCloud Photo Library. They get to my phone as a thumbnail.
Yes.
When I can't control which photos I want to download to my phone so they can upload to Google Photos. I have to open them one by one.
Yes.
So it says, okay, you want to watch this one?
Right.
I'm going to download it.
Yeah.
So
that's because, that's because, when you're starting with Google, with the iCloud Photo Library, Apple controls this, not you. And so that's why I start on the phone with the originals on the phone and let both Apple and Google back them up from the phone. And then you'll have to figure out what you want to do to avoid duplication. If doing it your way, you're absolutely right. And that's, something I always say to people is Apple's wonderful as long as you like doing things their way. The minute you want to do something that's different, Apple often gets in your way or even prevents you. Or in this case, they don't prevent you, they just make it hard. And that's because Apple's decided this is the right way to do. They have the right way to do things. They make that easy. Everything else is either hard or impossible. And that's
the reason that
makes it easier to use. That's the idea, right?
Yeah, the reason that I use Google Photo is because of how smart the software is, and they get ahead.
Exactly.
They get ahead of other programs
right.
in handling your pictures.
Right.
And second, because sharing is a benefit there.
Exactly.
I can share to any platform without any hassle. I don't need any Apple phone. If I want to switch at any time to Android or to share it to a friend of mine, I can create an album and just share the entire album.
So, Carlos, you've already answered your own question, which is rely on Google. And then decide what you want iCloud to be. I would start by copying photos to your phone and letting Google Photos back it up. There is, though, maybe you don't know about this, a desktop Google Photos backup solution. Google Photos, you can download a little program that runs in the background on your Mac and will automatically back up all the photos it finds to Google Photos. So you don't have to use your phone to do this. You can do it on your desktop as well. So maybe that's the solution.
Does it recognize the photos within the iCloud library?
It recognizes photos that are on the hard drive, and you can, I believe, and I do this as well. I don't mind duplicates on Google Photos. In fact, I like it because of obviously there's plenty of storage up there. I'm trying to remember where you can. I'm not looking at a Mac right now. I'm trying to remember where you can look on Google Photos what folders it will look at. I'm pretty sure you can specify which folders you want to back up. And if that's the case, then you can also back up photos from. Well, can you now? I see again. Apple likes to hide photos. I'm sure there's a way to do this. You may have to store your photos in a separate folder on your Macintosh hard drive, but that's probably the way to do it. Instead of doing it on your phone, have Google Photos backup. You know, there are a lot of ways to back up photos now. Amazon, if you're an Amazon Prime member, I know I don't think that's available to you in the Dominican, but if it is, that's another way to look at it. If you're an Amazon Prime member, unlimited photo storage from them as well. But I agree with you. Google Photos, the reason I use it is because of the artificial intelligence. Apple has a little bit of that going on, and they've increased it. But I don't, you have to pay for iCloud storage. It's relatively cheap, but you still have to pay for it. Apple has its workflow and the way it does things, and it's not necessarily the best for you. Get that Google downloader, put it on your computer, check and see what folders it will back up. And I know for me, it will back up the photo for all the folders I use. But I'm using Lightroom, and Lightroom is kind of where my stuff starts, not Apple's Photos. So I'm not sure if it'll do Apple's Photos. So there's a setting in the Google Photo app to select folders. I'm just not sure it'll see the Photos folder because that's hidden inside the Photos blob on the hard drive. Hey, great to talk to you, Carlos. Thanks for listening in the Dominican Republic. That's so neat in Santo Domingo. 8888 Ask Leo. That's my phone number. We're going to take a break for news at the top of the hour. Come back with lots more calls, lots more conversation about this brave new world we're in. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, I love doing this. Let me go to my website here and just type in fast.com. I know it's kind of showing off. This is the speed tester that Netflix does. And just to see what kind of band. 920 megabits per second. That's pretty nice. Would you like to have what does yours say when you go to fast.com? Would you like to have 920 megabits per second? You can if you live in California and you are a potential customer for Sonic Internet. Our shows are literally brought to you by Sonic Internet. Now, we have an unusual situation because that's not even the speed of our internet access. That's just the speed of the gigabit Ethernet card in my computer. Actually, we've got 10 gigabits up and down into the studio thanks to Sonic, our 10 gigabit fiber internet service provider. I love Sonic. Visit sonic.com. They are the best. I'm going to say this without hesitation. The best ISP in the nation. Not because they give us 10 gigabit internet. Well, partly because of that. But because they are the one that fights for their customers. They understand the internet infrastructure in the U.S. is broken. It needs fixing. Too many people pay too much for crappy cable internet. Sonic delivers fast, affordable internet and phone and TV to homes and businesses all over California. I hope you can get them. If you can, you should. Let me tell you what you get. This is residential fiber to the premises, gigabit connectivity in San Francisco, the North Bay Area, the East Bay Area. You get 15 email accounts. You get a gigabyte of storage. You get personal web hosting with a new domain and fax line services all bundled in. You get a home phone connection with unlimited local and long distance calling. And you get 1 gigabit down, 1 gigabit fiber, and all of that, $40 a month. What? I've talked to Dane. In fact, we did a great triangulation with Dane Jasper, their founder and CEO. I've known him for years, and I've been a Sonic customer practically since the beginning. Twitter's always run on Sonic. It's easy, by the way, to switch to their phone service. You can take number portability means you can take your home phone number. It doesn't change. No bandwidth caps. They stand up for customer privacy. They fight court orders every time. They advocate for their customers. That's why the EFF gave them 5 stars. Join the internet revolution. Sonic.com/twit. Find out more. Find out if they're available and in your area. And if they are, you can also get your first month of Sonic internet and phone service for free. And if you bundle in Dish and get the TV too, you save $120 on your Sonic bill. Sonic, SONIC.com/twit. It just blows me away. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers. The internet. It's so funny. It almost feels antiquated to say time to talk computers, right? Nobody talks about computers anymore. Let's talk about tech. Smartphones, smart watches, virtual reality headgear. We're slowly inching into the future. As, who was it said this? Is it Neil Gaiman? Somebody said, the future is here. It's just not evenly distributed yet. In other words, some parts, some portions, some pockets of the world are in the future, and the rest of us are sitting in the present. I think there are labs all over the country where interesting things are happening with virtual reality and even more importantly, augmented reality. Look at a company like Apple. I spent a lot of time thinking about Apple. They're the most valuable company in the world according to their stock price. They've had immense success. They've been a fascinating story. I mean, ups and downs and roller coasters. I mean, this is a story to rival, the best rock and roll band. On top of the world one moment, days from bankruptcy the next. Steve Jobs comes back. They're back on top of the world. Steve Jobs gets sick, passes away at a very young age. Suddenly, Apple's left rudderless, but Steve's anointed successor, Tim Cook, takes over, turns it into a very successful company, and yet still lots of questions about what's next for Apple. They've clearly been coasting. Well, is coasting the right word? Not coasting. They've been successfully exploiting their most successful product of all, the iPhone. But next year it'll be the 10th anniversary. Actually, in a couple of months, January 2007, the iPhone was announced. Boy, I'll never forget that. That was Steve Jobs at his best. I'll never forget that. 6 months later in June, it was released. So June 2017 will be the 10th anniversary. And 10 years is a lifetime in technology. And iPhone sales have slowed. The growth has slowed. Not the sales, but the growth has slowed. And at some point, sales will slow too because everybody will have an iPhone and, you'll get a new one every few years, I guess. But that's not enough to continue that amazing growth cycle. The iPad, I think, was Jobs' hope for a successor. And I think at this point, we kind of look at it and say, yeah, nice, but not world-changing and probably not a huge product category for Apple or anybody going forward, the tablet. The phone really is it, isn't it? And I think what nobody realized is as the phone got to a certain point, maybe 5.5 to 6 inches, it did everything a tablet needed to do. And people were satisfied just getting a big phone instead of a smaller phone and a big tablet. And meanwhile, the Macintosh business continues to fade away. And Apple's clearly recognized that. The PC business in general, the desktop computing, the laptop computing business is fading away. So Apple, like any tech company, has to figure out what's next. And this is where the saga, the story is going to be very interesting. And they could do like most tech companies do. You look at IBM and just kind of, coast for a while and slowly become less important and somebody else comes along. That's just kind of the way of the world. And the technology business cycle is so brief these days that, even Google, which seems so dominant right now, is probably on its way out. Facebook, maybe, I don't know. Facebook doesn't seem to have any competition anywhere. But all these companies are looking for their next big thing. You have to. That's kind of what drives you. I don't think Coca-Cola really cares what the next big thing is, right? They try stuff. Different size bottle. Maybe we'll make Coke clear. That didn't work. Maybe we'll put more sugar in it. That didn't work. That product is essentially unchanged for 100 years. But technology is very different, You can't just keep making the same thing because competitors will not only meet you, but beat you in time. It's my opinion that Apple's decided the next big thing for them, not a car. For a while, that was Project Titan, they called it. We thought that was going to be the next big thing. Not a TV set. Some people actually thought it was good. I never thought that. I wasn't convinced in the car either. That's challenging business to get into. But augmented reality, now that's kind of interesting. VR, which everybody's raging about right now, it's the hot new thing because it's a gaming platform and you put the visor on and you're now kind of immersed in this gaming world with some negative consequences. It makes some people queasy. It has a side effect. After you take the visor off, the world seems a little different and odd. According to Air Force studies, they did a lot of simulator work early on. There's something called simulator sickness. For as long as a day, you may actually be a greater risk on the road because your senses have been distorted a little bit by wearing that VR gear for more than an hour or two. So I'm not convinced VR will transcend these problems and become the next big thing. One of the biggest problems is you can't see the world around you. You're immersed in a different world. And I don't think we like this. Ultimately, it's a vulnerable position to be in. Augmented reality, you still see the world around you through these glasses, but superimposed on the world around you is information. And I think this might be the future of a lot of things. We've seen demonstrations. Microsoft's done these with a HoloLens, which is its augmented reality gear. You've got to fix a pipe. Now, you're not a plumber, you're not an expert, but you can get an expert on the line via a Skype-like connection, and he can see what you're seeing, and he can say, okay, see this here, and draw an arrow, turn that screw to the left. He can actually show you, or better yet, maybe not even a human, a machine intelligence could show you exactly what to do, superimposed on the pipe you're actually looking at. Microsoft's next version of Windows will have what they call a holographic interface. And I've seen it in operation, actually. We demonstrated it last week on our Windows Weekly show. One of our hosts, Mary Jo Foley, was in Amsterdam at a company called Wortel that makes software for Microsoft's HoloLens AR. And she was looking through these glasses, and we were seeing it along with her. She was looking at a group of people, but superimposed, floating over there, was a Windows menu. And she could either use a clicker or maybe more intuitively her finger and reach out into space and tap that menu, that non-existent menu. She sees it, but only she sees it. Tap it, activate a program. We saw a program that showed real-time aircraft landings at nearby Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam. And you could see the flight track in a 360-degree world superimposed over your real view. Imagine an air traffic controller using something like this. And, of course, for gaming, it's great, too. The Microsoft's shown its Minecraft game. And you have a table in front of you, and it puts the Minecraft construction on that table. And you can walk around it and look at it as if it's really there, but it's not. Now, and Apple has said, Tim Cook has said, the CEO of Apple, several times now, enough so that I'm starting to think he's trying to send a message. We really are excited about augmented reality. Not VR, AR. We really think there's a future there. I suspect Apple will pump a lot of money into this. Google already has. In fact, Google has a large stake in a very mysterious company called Magic Leap that claims to have an AR technology that is amazing. People have seen it, but nobody really knows how it works yet. It's kind of under wraps. Next 5 years should be very interesting. I think that may be, for Apple and maybe for all of us, the next big thing. You can make a note of that. Let's come back in 2020 as we approach the new year. I think we do it New Year's Eve 2019. We'll see if I was right. I think by then we'll have some better idea. 8888 Ask Leo. We can talk about anything on your mind. Tech is the topic of the day. Not computers particularly, although all of these things have computers in them. But what computers can do. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, I'm an old fart. I like computers. I like a keyboard. I like a mouse. I like a big screen. Got this nice big screen here. Look how big that. You could practically read that ad copy over my shoulder, can't you? That's a 30-inch screen. Well, there'll be a lot to talk about once I get the Surface Studio. I don't have much to say until I try it. Yeah, this is a 30-inch 4K. This is the Asus PQ monitor. So that's why I like desktop computers. I like lots of screen real estate. And yay, Roberto. Good. I'm glad you got that. Love Raspberry Pis, Nerdette. Highly recommend them. In fact, I tell parents, get a Raspberry Pi. If your kid says, I need a computer, get him a Raspberry Pi or her a Raspberry Pi. And say, here, you figure it out. Actually, no, this is bigger than the Surface. This is 30 inches. The Surface Studio is 28. And I don't run this I run this monitor at a lower resolution than its native resolution. I run it at 2K at HD, 1920 by 1080, because I'm distant from it. You see how far away I am from it. So running it at doubled, it's a high DPI monitor, but I can run it doubled, and that works pretty well. Leanne is in Lake Elsinore, California. Hi, Leanne.
Hello, Leo.
Welcome.
How are you today?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good.
What can I do for you?
I was wondering, would an iPhone 5 still be available for all the updates?
Yeah, what you want to get is what Apple calls the iPhone SE, which is an iPhone 5.
Is it just newer?
It's newer, and they put a newer processor in it, so it will support the updates longer. But it's their less expensive iPhone. You can still get iPhone 5s, used, and some stores still sell them. But I wouldn't recommend it. I would get an iPhone SE, which is Apple's low-cost, supposedly, iPhone. And it's the size of an iPhone 5, but it has the iPhone 6 or maybe even the 6S guts, which means you'll be able to use the operating systems, the more modern versions of the operating systems. And you definitely want to do that. Apple improves them dramatically every time and adds lots of security features. So iOS 10.1, which is the current version, is a lot better than iOS 7 or 8, which you'd have to use with an older iPhone. So to get the new one.
Okay.
Is this going to be a Christmas gift for you, or
Maybe.
you telling your folks what to get them? To get you?
Yeah.
To telling Santa.
Yep.
Santa's got an iPhone factory, but I think he only produces the newer iPhones.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What's the best place to get it, like the best price? And
There's not much price competition for Apple products. Apple's very careful to control the prices. So, in my opinion, the best place to get an iPhone, if you can't get a discount from your cell phone company, sometimes, if you go to Verizon or Sprint or AT&T or T-Mobile, whoever your cell phone company is, they'll give you a discount to keep you as a customer. But if you can't get a discount from them, then I'd go to the Apple Store because they give you the best service and support after sale. So, and you can get a phone for any carrier from the Apple Store. So that would be generally my recommendation. And I would bet this is a good time to be shopping, right? Santa does a lot of shopping this time of year, Leanne, because of the Black Friday deals. I would bet you could find a good Black Friday deal somewhere. Boz is telling me in the chat room, in fact, if you're a T-Mobile customer, there's $50 off the iPhone SE this weekend. So that would be a good deal. That would be a good deal. But again, it'd be best if you're already a T-Mobile customer. Apple Store Black Friday deal, $50 gift card. So you could buy some cables or a case or something like that. Thanks for the call. It's nice to talk to you, Leanne. John in San Diego. Hi, John. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I'm well. What can I do for you?
Well, I'm not sure. I've got a 6-year-old iMac desktop, which doesn't make me feel good to hear you say they're going to go away.
Well, they're not going away tomorrow. In fact, I'm fully expect Apple to have new iMacs next year, early next year.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah, I like the 5K iMacs an awful lot. In fact, that's the desktop Mac to get. The Mac Pro, not. They've abandoned that. It's been 3 years now. And they have abandoned it. Yeah, they haven't put a new chip in it. They haven't done anything. It's really shameful because I bought a $3,000 Mac Pro that is a doorstop. It's not because it's not been. I can't upgrade it. All I can do is put more memory in it. I already maxed it out. Nothing more I can do with it. I'm stuck with the processor. I'm stuck with the graphics units, and that's one of the many evidence points that Apple doesn't care anymore about the Macintosh. However, I'm with you. I love the Macintosh, and I need it. I use it.
Well, I do a lot of Photoshop, and I just can't see doing it on an iPad.
No, of course not.
It's just silly. I like the 27-inch screen.
Yeah.
It's really nice and sexy and beautiful.
You know what? Get the 5K iMac for a photographer. It's a beautiful screen. It's super high resolution. It is wonderful. It's what I use at home. And if you can wait, you might want to, because I think certainly in the first half, probably in the first quarter of next year, Apple will announce a new iMac.
And if they announce it, does that mean it's going to come out?
Yeah.
6 months after that?
No, it'll be pretty quick. It'll be a few weeks after. Now, here's the thing to know. It's not going to be light years ahead of the current iMac. So if you need one, and you do, it's 6 years old, I would go ahead to give it to yourself for the holidays. Because even a 3-month delay is 3 months you're using an out-of-date computer. You'll thank me when you look at that 5K screen. If you're a photographer, absolute must, or use Photoshop, absolute must, and just max it out. So what they'll do is they'll put currently their Haswell chips. They're probably, given that they're waiting, put the Kaby Lake chips in. Not a big, huge performance improvement. They'll put a better graphics unit in. That might make a difference if you're a gamer. Probably won't make a big difference in Photoshop. These things aren't going to make a huge difference to you. They won't. One thing they won't do is lower the price.
Well, I don't expect them to do that. They're interested in making money.
Yeah, and they're good at it.
Yes, they're very good. The reason, this might be where I end up going, but the reason I've called is my computer for the last couple of years I'll just be using it on the internet.
I'm running up against the wall here. Hang on, okay? We're going to do Chris Marquardt, a photo guy, and then I'll come back to you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Time never stands still. All right, I can come back to you now though because we're into the commercial. So were you having trouble with your old iMac, John? John, are you still there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am. Sorry.
No, it's okay. You were going to be on hold for 20 minutes. I thought, let me just talk to you now. We're still on the podcast, it's just not on the radio. What?
All right, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So the computer goes along just fine, and then suddenly it freezes. Now the mouse will work. It'll move around.
But you get the beach ball of death? Is it that little rotating rainbow?
No. It just, I'll be scrolling through something, and it'll freeze. It won't do a thing. Now, if I have music on my computer, that is not affected. But the only way I can fix it is to unplug the computer.
Oh, don't do that. Yeah.
Well, I do it all the time.
Yeah, this is not ideal, obviously. The risk is so I'm not sure what's going on there. If the music still plays, obviously the processor's still working. The music never stops. It doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop.
Yeah.
It just keeps playing.
So the processor is still going. And the mouse is moving, so the screen is still updating, but you can't get the mouse to click on anything.
Correct. Now, I've been calling the Apple people lately a lot, like every day. This used to do it like 2, 3, 4 times a year. Now I upgraded to Sierra. Now it's doing it 2 or 3, 4 times a day.
Crap. So there was a problem in the older operating system, I think it was Mavericks, that I had, which was, and you can, I would suggest doing this anyway. Open the System Resources Monitor. It's in the utilities application utilities folder, and what it does is it monitors applications that are running, and I think if you leave it on the CPU screen, you'll see what there was a runaway process, and I thought Apple fixed this in later versions of the operating system. It was a known problem in I think Mavericks, a process that would just take over, and that's what it sounds like. It makes the machine unresponsive, but doesn't make it stop working. It's just using all the CPU cycles. So watch keep that open in the corner. It won't use enough. That resource monitor doesn't use much processor speed. Just keep it running. And notice what's at the top there. And if it's using 100% of the CPU, I bet it is. And that's a runaway process.
All right, I'm not sure that that's it because we've gone through and we've looked that up and see how much power the computer's using, and it's definitely not complete. But that's not while it's
okay. If you have it running, it will continue to run even while your computer's non-responsive, and you can see that's.
Okay, I get it. Good.
That's what you want to do. Is you want it to be running when you have this problem to see if there is something that's doing that. I had that problem on an older version of OS X. Apple acknowledged the problem. I can't remember the name of the resource it was a system process that was going out of control. So the other thing you might want to try, I'm sure Apple's told you, is just reinstall the OS from scratch.
Done that.
And it didn't fix it.
No. I mean, it's a periodic thing. It's not like, the minute I get on the internet, it goes down. I'll be going along and it'll just stop. So it's
I'm pretty sure this is a runaway process. That's because it's not killing the computer really; it's just making it unresponsive. So a new computer might fix this. In fact, it would certainly fix this. That's a lot of money to spend just to fix that problem. Try this task. Run the resource monitor in the background just to see what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah, you won't see any problem until it's non-responsive, and then see who's eating up all the juice.
Okay.
At least that's a start. And yeah, you'll want to get it. You want to get the new 5K, John.
I know I want a new one, but I'm not working right now, and it's.
It's thousands of dollars. It's ridiculous. Hey, thanks, John.
All right, thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Right, bye.
Chris Marquardt is our photo genius. He's a film and digital photo guru. He teaches workshops. You can find out more about those at discoverthetopfloor.com. Joins us every week to help us become better photographers of any kind. And I need a lot of help. What can you help me be better at today, Chris?
Well, I want to go into another one of these superpowers. Let me ask you a question first.
Sure.
Can we agree that we have too much stuff?
Yes. Gear,
right? I mean,
gear
it's just
crazy.
Black Friday, there's Cyber Monday, there's all these, and we tend to buy a lot of stuff, and sometimes you want to get rid of something.
No, I would be better off with one camera. I would be.
It's true, yeah. And I mean, let's face it. Sometimes you realize that, and you go, "What am I going to do with this?" And sometimes it's a good idea to just sell it off. To put it on eBay, put it on Craigslist or something.
I can't. I love it. It's my children. They're my children.
Well, okay, maybe not your cameras, but everyone will have a few things that they might want to get rid of. So I want to talk about a superpower: shooting appealing product shots. You want to use photography to sell stuff. That's the way you sell. They have actually done research on how much more you can make if you try to sell something with a good photo as opposed to with a bad photo. And we're talking 20 to 30% more just with a good photo. So I just want to go into 1, 2, 3 little things that will help you make better product shots. And the first one, obviously, this is about the thing you want to sell. This is not about your desk. It's not about your house. It's not about anything. So distractions, keep them at bay. Keep the distractions as low as possible. Tidy up. In a proper studio, I would use what's called a seamless backdrop for that, which is pretty much it could be a big sheet of paper. And if you have a small thing that you want to sell, that's pretty much what you would use, a sheet of paper, but don't put it on a table. A good way to do this is actually to use a laptop and tape the top of the paper to the top of a laptop screen with a little sticker. And then you can let it curve down over the keyboard. That's how you make a little seamless background right there with your laptop. Usually good to not use color paper for that. Just plain white paper is often the best. Colors might be distracting, and they might also throw the white balance of your camera, because your camera will try to analyze what it's seeing there. And if you have a red or a green background, the camera might get the colors wrong.
Seamless
actually likely.
Seamless is the wrong name, really, because what it really is cornerless, right?
It's cornerless, but if you have a white wall and a white floor, you have this corner, and that might be a distraction.
Right.
And
So you get a little curve at the bottom where the paper.
Exactly. It's a curve. Yeah. So that's the first thing. If you have a bigger thing you want to sell, of course you won't have a sheet of. Let's say you want to sell a car. You don't have a sheet of paper this big. So that's one thing to definitely watch for the background. You don't want to have a tree sticking out of the roof of that car. A good way to do that is, by the way, to try to shoot from slightly above. So you step on a ladder or on something to then make the ground the background. That's usually way less distracting than if you have just stuff in the background. So cleaning it up. I mean, that's the first message. Tidy up, make it a clean shot. It's about what you want to sell. Second is the light. Light, you can pretty much, we talked about light a lot here. You have these two different kind of lights, the soft light and the hard light. The hard light is when the sun is out, when you have these really harsh shadows. That's not gonna make your product look nice. So you want softer light on that. If you're shooting something small, again, tiny objects, you could use, in a studio here, I would use what's called a light tent. I think it's important if you have just a desk light or something, don't point it straight at it, point it at the wall behind it, and that will create a bigger light source and get the light softer. If you want to shoot something bigger, again, it's going to be hard. A light tent that's bigger than your car is going to be difficult, but wait for some overcast weather.
Cloudy
Just
day.
wait for some clouds between the sun and you. That will make that light source from the sky bigger, and that will that will make it look nicer. Also, if you want to sell something that's shiny, the thing is with the light is if you use the flash on your camera, that's not a good idea because you will not really see much of that. You define the shape of shiny things like a car by the light sources that get reflected in that. So if you take that out in the driveway or maybe in a place that doesn't have a lot of distraction, you have a nice overcast sky, you will get some nice reflections of these clouds in there as opposed to some, I don't know, horrible lights that you might have.
You can take a tip from the movies and pretend it just rained. Get the ground wet.
That's a good way. That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's
the movies,
get the garden hose out and
yeah.
And
It's always after it rained that you see those dark street scenes at night, and the streets are shiny.
It's those reflections that are really appealing.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Do we have time for one more colors?
Sure.
Use manual white balance. The camera has these little symbols for white balance. If you want to sell a product, you need to make the colors look nice, and you do this by setting the camera's white balance to that setting that reflects the situation that you're in. If you're under an overcast sky, there's a little cloud symbol, set it to that, and you'll get good colors. If you're shooting, if you don't have a choice and you have to shoot under tungsten light, then under fluorescent light, then set the camera to this little fluorescent light tube symbol. If you have to shoot under tungsten light, then use the little light bulb symbol and just get the colors a bit better than what the camera would usually do. So that's pretty much it. Tidy it up. Get soft light, do manual white balance, and include not just the whole thing, include some details, especially when, let's say you want to sell something on eBay and it has a scratch. Well, by all means, show that scratch in one of those detailed pictures. Don't try to hide things.
I found that's the case. You don't want somebody to discover it when they come over and visit. That's not the time.
That's a bad message. Yeah.
Chris is at discoverthetopfloor.com. His photo books are there, even a book about how to shoot with film. Because he's not just a digital guy, and of course, all the workshops. And we have an assignment, don't we, Chris?
We do. The current assignment is a square. And again, has a lot of different ways to interpret that.
What does that mean? Take a picture illustrating what square means to you. Upload it to flickr.com. That's free. It's a great photo sharing site. We have the Tech Guy group there. Make sure you join the group. You can upload one new picture every week. And in a few weeks, Chris is going to review some of his favorite square photos.
Yes.
Thank you, Chris Marquardt. I got to take some square photos. I got to find some square photos. I've been having fun. My only problem is by the way, this Mark IV is amazing for.
It's a beast, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm really loving it. And for back button focus, I got 2 buttons now. One is like single point, single focus, and then I have a servo focus with multi-point. So depending on what I'm taking a picture of, I could choose the right back button. But I'm finding I'm having trouble with exposures for some reason.
Really?
Yeah,
what's the exposure mode you set it to?
That's the issue, because you'll see I'll have
no, that's okay. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure you're on spot metering.
Okay,
there.
So change that to general metering.
Change it to what's called evaluative metering, where this little square thing all the fields are on.
Because some of them come out perfect, and I thought maybe it's because I changed so that the front button is not doing the exposure.
The spot meter, especially in the first picture, when you point the spot to something black, it will tend to overexpose the rest.
Like Lisa's fine in here, but
because you pointed it to her black sweater.
She's the spot. Yeah.
Yeah. You put it on her dark.
On her dark eyes. That's what I did.
Probably.
Yeah, and everything else is blown out. That's getting a little bit better. So yeah, okay, that's it. So I just need to change my metering.
Get the evaluative metering. Just the thing that has all the fields on, and then you will. It'll do a good job in 95% of all
motor
the cases.
wind. Well, that's the other thing is because there's a lot of headroom. These aren't so blown out I can't save them. But
it's faster.
The motor wind. Holy cow!
Well, I mean, seven shots a second is still, for some sports photographers, still not fast enough.
No, I know, and they make a 9 and the 1D and all that.
But you're getting 30 megapixels in that.
I know. And I got the fastest memory I could find. Now, what do you do with the 2 cards? Do you have it double, or do you have it fail over? What do you?
At this point, I shoot raw to one card and JPEG to another.
So you can do that. That's what I want to do.
Yes, you can.
Okay. That's what I want to do.
This is the first time I'm using a camera with 2 slots.
I know, me too.
I have to still find the mode that works best for me. But this, for now, this seems to be the best.
That's what I want, because I do want to shoot RAW plus JPEG. But the problem is if I have them on the same card, they both download. So I don't want to do that.
Yeah. If you're paranoid, you could also just shoot RAW to both cards. And
Like if I was shooting a wedding, I would do that. But no, I want to split the RAW plus JPEG. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Couldn't figure out how to do that. So there is a setting in there.
I don't have it here right now.
It's not obvious, but I'll find it.
There is a setting. You'll find it.
Nice.
All right.
There's so many settings. That is a complicated camera. Holy cow. But I really like it.
Isn't that a bit of the fun in it, to have a new thing to explore?
And I'm waiting. In a couple of weeks, the 24-105 will come, the new lens.
Yep.
And then I'll be a good photographer.
Yeah, totally. It works.
Thanks, Chris. Always a pleasure.
Talk to you next week.
See you later. Bye-bye. Then I'll be a good photographer.
You probably still dial a phone. Motor wind.
Still what?
You said motor wind.
Motor wind. Yeah, I call it motor wind. And I dial a phone. What do you call rapid burst mode? Burst mode.
I couldn't think of it either.
Yeah, burst mode. It's got a 7 shot per second burst mode. You press it. I actually turn it off because otherwise I take too much. It's like, and with a fast memory, you can go 3 or 4 seconds. You can get 40 shots, like 40, 30 megapixel shots like that. Yikes! I love this camera. It's the 5D Mark IV, brand new Canon 5D. I am Valvey, but I have more than $10,000 worth of Canon lenses. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888, ask Leo, the phone number. We wrapped up our call from before Chris Mark. I didn't want to keep our caller hanging on for so long, but he had a problem that I think I have a suggestion for anyway. His 6-year-old iMac was just kind of half freezing. It was becoming unresponsive, but it wasn't crashing because the music still played and the mouse still moved, but he couldn't click on anything, so it wasn't listening. The way modern computers work, do you want to get in the weeds a little here? We'll get a little in the weeds because it's kind of, I find this fascinating. Of course, I'm a geek, but the way modern computers work is all the software works in something called an event loop. So the event loop it's pretty simple. It's kind of ingenious, and it really didn't need to get invented until computers started doing a lot of things at the same time. You have multiple windows open. So what the event loop does is a program just sits there. Let's say a word processor. It just sits there in the event loop waiting for an event. An event includes a mouse clicking, a mouse moving over a button, a key press. That's a very important event. And until it gets an event, these event-driven programs, and all Mac programs are designed this way. Actually, all modern programs are done this way. Just go around waiting. They're going, hody, 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 ho. They're in a loop. Did he do anything? Nope. Did he do anything? Nope. Did he do anything? And computers are so fast, they might thousands of times cycle through this loop before you hit a key, even if you're typing as fast as you can. So in a multitasking operating system like Mac OS, it's doing other things in this event loop. It has a larger loop that it's checking, okay, was their mouse down? No, but I can still play some music. I can still do this. Something is occupying the system and is essentially breaking the loop. It's taking over. If you think about it, if an event took all the resources of the computer, your mouse down would be ignored. It never gets a chance to get seen. And I think that's what's happening. So the easiest way to do that on most computers have some sort of resource monitoring. On the Macintosh, there's a program in the Applications folder. There's a Utilities folder. In the Utilities folder, there's something called, I can't remember the exact name, but something like System Resource Monitor. Windows has it. Linux has it. All systems have it, where you can watch what's going on. And you can watch a variety of different things. You can watch how the variety of programs that are running are using the CPU, how much memory they're using, what's going on in terms of disk access. So if you sit and you watch the CPU running, you'll see, and what I want you to do is keep the System Resource Monitor running, just a little window in the lower corner, and continue to use your computer as normal. And then pay attention when your computer becomes unresponsive and look at what's using all the cycles. It's probably not the program you're in. If it's the program you're in, then maybe there's a problem with that program. But more likely it's a system service that has a problem. It's badly written. And in fact, this has happened on the Mac OS. It happened a couple of generations ago. There was a service, and I wish I could remember the name of it, but it would just take over all the cycles. It said, I'm working here. I'm busy here. Get out of my way. And no other program would get to do anything. They'd still run. Your music would still play, but you couldn't click on the music player. You couldn't because it wasn't paying attention to you. It was busy doing whatever this service wanted it to do. And that was a broken service, which Apple had a hard time fixing. I remember they went through several updates. They finally fixed it. But maybe you've got something similar. So my recommendation, if your computer is becoming less responsive, slowing down, even to the point where it's not responding to your clicks, but it still seems to be working, the clock's moving and stuff, run a System Resource Monitor and see, is there something like eating up all the CPU cycles, all the RAM? If there is, sometimes you can just get enough control to kill that process and everything goes back to normal. And if you do that, we figured it out. It's a runaway process is what we call it. Dave in Escondido, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Leo. Great to talk to you again.
Thanks for calling.
So, doing a little Christmas shopping online today.
Yay. This is a good time. I'm really seeing some deals, actually. I'm surprised.
Well, I found a really fantastic deal on a laptop for my wife.
Good.
It's got a 16 gigabytes RAM, it's Windows 10. It's got it looks to have two hard drives in it, a 1 terabyte regular 5400 drive, and then a 256 solid state drive, which I hadn't heard of before.
Yeah, Intel created this spec. Usually they're smaller solid state. Usually they're 64 gigs, so that's interesting. The idea is, and Apple does this too. Apple has its own name for it, Fusion Drive, but Intel created this, and a lot of Intel machines use it, where it moves the most used stuff to the fast SSD. The problem is SSDs are expensive, so you don't want to buy a terabyte SSD. But if you manage it carefully and put the stuff you use the most often on the SSD, the stuff you use less often on the spinning drive, you can get much of the same performance. And so that's what they're doing.
So here's the catch. It is a Lenovo IdeaPad, and I remember not too long ago there was a big issue with Lenovo putting some sort of malware.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to
it wasn't. So it really wasn't malware. I mean, I'd call it malware, but Lenovo would say it was adware. They were taking over and putting ads in there, make a little extra money. They got caught. It was called Superfish. Part of the problem was the adware did expose you to malware because it was poorly coded. They were suitably chastened. Then they did it again. And I said at that point, never buy anything from Lenovo. However, I think because they've been spanked so thoroughly and so publicly, they're not doing it now. And I think I like these IdeaPads. I think they're very nice. How much is the price?
Yeah. It's actually $749.
Whoa!
Unbelievable. I guess Lenovo listed it like $12.99, so it's one of those Cyber Monday deals.
These are really nice computers. I have no hesitation recommending it. And as far as the good news is, because of this, everybody's paying attention, right? No Lenovo computer will be sold without all the hackers getting in there saying, what are they doing? And Lenovo themselves realized they made a big mistake, and so I think it's safe to buy a Lenovo.
Okay. The one thing it doesn't have, we're replacing an old Dell that has a touchscry.
Yeah, that's why it's less expensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. I got to take a break. I don't have I want because I know you want to talk about a phone too, but so we'll get you at the top of the hour. But I think you can live without touch, even on Windows 10.
I think so too.
I would not say that's a disadvantage. I like touch, but it's kind of a luxury feature. It's nice to have, but absolutely not necessary. My favorite Windows laptop doesn't have touch, the HP Spectre. It's great. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So, yeah, I think that's a perfectly nice laptop. I mean, I understand your concern, and I'm still concerned. But, you know, and the IdeaPads were, so it was the consumer-grade laptops that Lenovo was doing that to, not the ThinkPads.
Okay.
So, but this is the consumer grade. So, I don't think touch is a big problem. Which one is it? The Y100? Y700, I mean?
Let's see. It's got the i7 6700 HQ.
Wow.
That's
a nice for $799. That's a great deal.
Yeah, actually $749.
Wow.
Yeah. And regarding the touch, we never really used the touch that much.
No. Like I said, it's a luxury. I use it, but in special circumstances, you know, if you're an artist and you draw, then maybe it's a good thing. But I don't think you need touch. No.
Yeah. Just to comment on what you were saying about Apple before, I'm a video editor and motion graphic designer by trade, and I am lamenting big time the demise of the Macintosh, the Apple computer. I do have one of the 2013 Mac Pros still. It still hums along. I never really had any problems with it. I know you had some problems with yours.
I had USB issues with it, and I think Apple's USB is not perfect. But yeah, mostly I just never used it. So I used it as a server for a while, and then I finally gave it to a friend who said, I really need it for video editing. I said, you can have it.
Yeah, yeah. We're probably going to be replacing it in the next couple of years, and I'm guessing. I understand you went to Dell XPS machines for your video.
Yeah, that's what we use. The workstations. Yeah, we didn't. They're actually not XPS. They're the Precision workstations or something like that.
Okay, all right. So I would definitely keep those in mind.
Yeah, these have been great for us, and we're just now putting Windows 10 on them. We didn't upgrade to Windows 10 until now, and I think we're in the process of doing that. We haven't even done that completely.
Yeah, I sort of went through this with Apple years ago. I've been doing editing for about 25 years now.
But you're still Final Cut.
No, actually, I moved over to the Adobe Suite.
Yeah, that's what we did too.
Yeah. I do a lot of After Effects work, and the Mac Pro it screams through renders. It's really a nice machine.
Do you do 4K?
We haven't really done any a little bit of 4K.
That would be my concern, is that 3 years old now, it may be really not great for 4K.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's fine for 1080p. It does scream, yeah. It's made for that, right? That's what it's made to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not sure anything that you would buy newer would be any faster.
Yeah. Honestly, we've had more of an issue with Adobe's versioning with their upgrades on 4K than we have with our hardware.
Right.
Every time they release something that adds new features, it seems to break a little something else. That's the world we live in.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. And even Windows PCs aren't long for this world, I think. I mean, I really think desktop computing has another 10 years and then we'll be. I don't know what people like you will do. I think there'll be purpose-built systems.
Mm-hmm.
It's a relatively small market. I mean, for a long time, Avid was effectively a purpose-built system, right? I mean, they used a Mac hardware, but that's, I think, what'll happen. I think
that's what I started on, the Avid.
Yeah.
And back when they had AVR 27 resolution.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what'll happen is you'll get these purpose-built machines that are not general-purpose computers, but are designed to do, like Avid, that specific task.
But the interesting thing is Apple did this once before to us. We ended up moving away from Apple in the late 90s, I guess, because they were sort of abandoning the video editors like they're doing again today.
Yeah.
And then they came back into the market big time.
The rumor is that Steve Jobs was so pissed off because Adobe threatened to pull its products that he said, fine, went out and bought Final Cut. They didn't write it there. They bought it. And said, we're going to bury Adobe. So anything that Steve Jobs got upset about was a good bet at Apple, right?
Yeah.
But he's not there anymore. And so cooler heads have prevailed. And now the strategy is probably more sensible and global, but maybe not necessarily better for the people like you who are professionals.
Well, I can't be too upset because Final Cut really changed the landscape. Prior to that,
it did.
We were paying $100,000 for an Avid system.
No, then Steve put through so much money into it, and he went and he got Walter, what's his name, to use it for Cold Mountain, and that was apparently it was horrible, and there was this very rapid iterative cycle to make it usable. And but it benefited from that, right? And
for sure.
Yeah, and thanks to what's his name? The very famous film editor. That'll come back to me. But Walter Murch. Walter Murch was a guinea pig. He said, "All right, I'll use Final Cut on Cold Mountain." Okay. And it was everybody who knew the inside story, including Alex Lindsay, said at first it was unusable. It just it was just unusable.
Yeah,
but
it really brought decent post production to the masses for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
And having been doing this for so long, it's been interesting to see the amount of things that you can do on a desktop computer today. Compared to what I was doing when I first started.
It's a revolution.
Crazy.
And I guess I'm an old timer and I want to keep using desktops, but I also see the inexorable move away from it. It's just you could see it coming.
Yeah, I'm an old timer too. I still have the dual monitor, have a mouse. I tried the trackpad a little bit, can't get used to it. So I'm mouse and keyboard pretty much all the way.
Yeah. Old habits die hard.
I know.
Did you want to ask about a phone? You want to stick around for that?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, hang on.
Okay.
That's an interesting question. Panda Ninja asks, does the USB-C on Macs help with bad USB and other malware? I wouldn't expect that it does, but I'll have to ask Steve Gibson that. That's a very interesting question. My guess is not, because in order to use the USB key, you're going to put an adapter on there and you're going to still plug it in, and I would guess the same things will happen. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Here we are, talking computers, talking tech, USB, Type-C, hard drives, smartphones, smartwatches, virtual reality headgear. On the line, Escondido Dave. He's going holiday shopping for the little woman. Don't worry. I don't call my wife the little woman into her face either. It's okay. So I think we settled on that Lenovo laptop. But now you want to buy a phone too, huh?
Yeah. She's got a 16 gigabyte iPhone 6.
Oh, it's time. Yeah, that's too small. I never will forgive Apple for selling a phone that was too small to update. I mean, that's just crazy. Yeah.
We run up against full storage all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm looking at two top contenders. One, obviously, the iPhone 7. T-Mobile's got a pretty good promotion going on right now. And the other one I was looking at is the Pixel by Google. Did some research, and they do have Fi service in our area.
So that's what my go-to these days is a Pixel. Not even the big one. I like the little. I've gone back to little phones. It's a mere 5 inches on Google Fi. Here, the advantage of Google Fi is a very straightforward pricing. Google charges $20 a month, and that gives you unlimited text and calling. And then for $10 or a fraction thereof per gigabyte, for data, and you pay just for what you use. They ask you to, when you first sign up, how much you're going to use, but that's just for the first bill. After that, they only and then refund you what you don't use, and then from that point on. So my bill is typically $30, $40, very affordable. The other thing that's really, but it's clear. I mean, you know what you're paying for. It may not be cheaper than T-Mobile, but you know you're paying exactly for what you use, no more, no less. If you travel internationally, wow, it's the same price in something like 100 countries. So I don't worry about international travel anymore, and I like to go to Europe or somewhere at least once a year. I just take my Fi phone and nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
It's just as if you were at home. Same price, same speeds, everything. Now.
Yeah, my wife's from South America, and we do travel down there every couple of years.
Perfect. So there's a real advantage to that.
Coverage in her country.
Yeah.
The one thing that I'm not sure, I haven't been able to figure out is, I know Google Fi is only available in certain areas. What happens if I travel to other areas in the United States to visit family? I mean,
well, it's the same problem. Here's how Google Fi works. It will work anywhere T-Mobile, Sprint, or U.S. Cellular works. Those are the three carriers it works on, and it hands off seamlessly between the three. It also supports Wi-Fi, so even if you're in an area with no T-Mobile, no Sprint, no U.S. Cellular, you could still use Wi-Fi, and it still makes calls, takes calls, texts, everything. I don't think there are many places in the country that those don't work, but you'd have the same problem if you were a Sprint customer. Or a T-Mobile customer, because it doesn't have either of those, then it would be the same problem. So, in other words, it works the same. In fact, it works better than Sprint alone or T-Mobile alone or U.S. Cellular alone. I think that's the real strength of it. Now, she is an iPhone user. She likes the iPhone.
Correct.
She's spent money. She's spent time learning how to use it. She's comfortable with it. You change at your peril.
Yes.
I don't mind moving. I don't mind moving around. I'm used to it. I want to be proficient with both. That's my job. So I have an iPhone 7 Plus, and I think it's a great phone. It's a beautiful phone. It works. It's easily the best manufactured in terms of fit and finish. There's nothing close. The Pixel, though, it's not waterproof. It doesn't do, wireless charging. It does do NFC, which Apple's doesn't. Apple's is waterproof. It doesn't do wireless charging either. Both do fast charging. The fingerprint reader works very well on both. The screen is gorgeous on the Pixel because it's OLED, which Apple still does not use. But I have to say, I don't see the iPhone 7 screen is gorgeous. You're going to have to consider your wife's feelings at this point, whether she'd be willing to move to Android.
I'm leaning more towards sticking with the iPhone, but how do the cameras match up between the two? I'm looking at the Pixel XL versus the...
Pixel and Pixel XL have the same camera. In fact, they're identical phones except for screen size. That's unusual. Usually the smaller phone has less something. But in this case, they're identical phones. The camera is superb on the Pixel, and I would say is equal to the iPhone. Both have strengths and weaknesses. They're different strengths and weaknesses. But I love the pictures I'm getting from the Pixel. Very nice camera.
Okay. How does the optical zoom on the iPhone
works beautifully? That's the one advantage Apple has there, is you have two lenses, and you can zoom in. Remember, though, that when you use the zoomed lens, which is, by the way, since you're a film editor, you'll understand the normal lens on the iPhone is 28 millimeter effective. The zoom is 56 millimeter effective. It's not really a telephoto lens, but it is 2x. But it is f2.8, I think. It's much slower. So in low light, you won't want to use the zoom.
Right.
And I discovered that last night. I was trying to shoot a video, and when I zoomed, everything got dark and grainy. And I realized, oh, yeah, I'm using a much narrower aperture. So that's a good thing to note, but the zoom is very handy. You know, when you're outside and you're taking pictures and you want to get an architectural detail or you want to see somebody's face more clearly, having that button that you just press really is nice. You should get her an iPhone. She's an iPhone user, and you know, I love Google Fi. I'm a big fan. Are you T-Mobile?
I am Verizon. We've been Verizon forever. And
that's the worst for travel. T-Mobile will do well for you in South America. Does the same thing as Google Fi with it, you know, gives you data, free data.
Well, I think that clinches it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that the iPhone is the right way to go for her. She's been using it. Why put her through the trauma? On the other hand, you and I, and anybody who likes Android, the Pixel is easily the best Android phone. It's the one to get.
Good to know. Well, hopefully Google Fi will kind of force the other carriers to kind of.
I think that's always Google's thought is, you know, they don't want to get into this business necessarily. What they would like to do is convince others to become more competitive. Well, one other thing, Google Assistant is like 10 times better than Siri. I mean, it's really good. It's really
my wife still has a little bit of a Peruvian accent, and Siri just has the hardest time understanding her. It's getting a little better with each generation.
Yeah. Siri is a disappointment. Apple has not really thrown the resources that they ought to into it. It has improved a lot, though. 10.1 is a big improvement. Siri is getting smarter and more sophisticated. I'm going to be in Peru in June.
Really? Where are you going?
Machu Picchu.
Oh, I've been there a couple times.
Yeah, I've been there once before, and I'm taking the kid because I think every kid should experience this. One of the wonders of the ancient world. Hey, let me ask you though, isn't Peruvian food like the best food in South America? I think they think so anyway.
Unbelievable! It is one of the best cuisines in the world.
I was told that Chileans don't eat Chilean food; they eat Peruvian food. They said it's better food. We're going to eat the Chilean.
Yeah, but I don't think they would admit that.
I was told that by a Peruvian. Have a wonderful holiday.
Thank you so much.
All right,
appreciate it.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye. Yeah, we're on our way to the Galapagos, another place I think that a teenager should see. And we thought, well, as long as we're going to Ecuador, let's stop in Peru and visit the ruins. Yeah, I'm very much impressed with Google Assistant. Now, it's funny because somebody asked me yesterday, should I get an Amazon Echo or a Google Home? And I said, get the Amazon Echo. If all you wanted to do is the kinds of things you do with Google Assistant, you know, ask it for search, you know, information and facts, there's no question Google Home's better at facts. But for a lot of the things that you might use an Echo for, including shopping, it has no equal. And because it's 2 years old, it ties in with more other hardware. So ironically, while I love Google Fi over Siri, I love the Amazon Echo over the Google Home. Hey, consistency, foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of small minds. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm no hobgoblin, that's for sure. Nerdette, I don't really play either, but if I did, I'd play Battlefield. I don't like killing people. Really, seriously, it bothers me. Although I started playing Skyrim again because they did a special HD update for the Xbox One, and I've been playing that again. I really love Skyrim was my favorite. Actually, my favorite was BioShock Infinite, or actually the whole BioShock series. Loved those. Yeah, but it's too real. Call of Duty is too realistic for me, and also it's too hairy for me. I can't keep up. Can't keep up. I'm still looking for the next thing. I thought No Man's Sky was going to be it, but now I'm, after all the hate, And I don't have a PlayStation anyway. I am not turn-based. Civ 6, I'm not. I keep thinking I should like Civ, and I keep buying it. I've bought in 4 or 5 editions of Civ, and I try it every time, and I don't like turn-based. I just doesn't. But I really loved Age of Empires, which is real-time, similar, but real-time. It's Pirate Space Trainer. Isn't that the VR game? Uncharted's fun. Again, I don't have a PlayStation, so I haven't played it much. I have a PS3, sorry, but I haven't played it on PS4. I prefer to play Tetris in Emacs. That's my favorite game. Emacs Tetris. Love that. Yeah, I probably would like turn-based. What's the best turn-based? I've been playing more card games lately, like Hearthstone. Kind of starting to like those a little better. I love Plants vs. Zombie Heroes. I really like that. Now, come on, Crystal. You think I'm going to interrupt Prince? No way. Leo Laporte, I guess I have to. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo the phone number. Shirley on the line from Venice, California. Oh, how nice. Hi, Shirley.
Hi, Leo. Thank you so much for taking my call. I really appreciate it. I'm
My
so
pleasure.
desperate. I need some help.
Oh, no. What can I do for you?
I have an issue with Microsoft and their updates. I am ready to toss my PC out of the window. I'm a student, and I use my PC for my papers and for studying and research. And the first thing that happened was Microsoft updated me to Windows 10 without. Yeah. So I go, okay, I'll just go ahead and stick.
Yeah, go with the flow, right? It's too late now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I know, I get these annoying pop-ups wanting me to update. And so I just kind of ignored them. And the next thing I knew, there were 2 options on my menu for update and restart or update and shut down. So I never really did it.
So let me explain why. One of the hidden requirements of taking that free upgrade to Windows 10, and again, you didn't choose it, Microsoft just did it to you, but by doing so, you agreed that you would update the computer, and actually that's a good thing. Because those updates, those critical updates in particular, are security patches. If you don't do them, you're really in trouble. You're really open to attacks. And, you can have an antivirus. You can be very careful. But if you don't do the patches, it means an attacker can get into your system without any notice or cooperation on your part. And so Microsoft, I think, did the right thing by saying, look, we really need people to do these patches, so we're going to require it. You can defer them, but you can only defer them for so long, and this is what you're running up against. You deferred it, but now it's saying you're going to get the patch as soon as you restart, no matter what.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like I have no control over my device. And last night, I'm right in the middle of research, and I get a notice.
Yes.
Telling me that
we're going to shut down.
To say
Yep.
yes.
Yep.
And I'm
Yep.
and it's still clocking since last night. It's been over 14 hours.
It's really frustrating. So when you say I have a problem with Windows Update, there are 4 separate individual horrific problems you could be having, probably more, that leap to my mind. And you've got 2 of them. Of the 4. But this is normal. Microsoft has done a very poor job with Windows Update, unfortunately, and there's been a real serious source of complaint, which is kind of aggravated by the fact that not only does it require you do it, it will actually interrupt what you're doing and say, I'm updating now. And for a lot of people, that's a real problem. There are ways to disable that. But I do want to encourage you to do the updates. You're on Wi-Fi, I presume, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there is a setting in the network settings to say that your Wi-Fi is metered, which means you pay for what you're using. And it's a little white lie to tell Microsoft, but as soon as you tell it that I'm on metered Wi-Fi, it won't automatically download and install updates, because it doesn't want to cost you money. So for future reference, you can tell it that you're on metered Wi-Fi. That's the only side effect that's negative, is it will slow down the updates. But I do want to encourage you to do those updates because, again, you're vulnerable if you don't. And the best thing to do is to take control of the updates and do them on your schedule. If you put it off, then what's going to happen is you're going to have what happened to you. Now, it sounds like, maybe I misunderstood, you did the update and it's still in the middle of it 14 hours later. Is that right?
That's correct, and I'm
you're
waiting. So my options are to go to the library or just wait until tomorrow to finish.
Oh God, I just want to yell at somebody. Microsoft, please. And I hear this story so often. In fact, you've told many of the worst stories. I got an unintended Windows 10 upgrade I didn't want. Story one. I'm getting pestered by these updates in the middle of my work, and now you've got the worst of them all. The update's stuck because it shouldn't take 14 hours. It's stuck. Okay. It's not going to ever get better. So
I'm ready to go over to Apple now. I'm ready to pull the trigger and just get a new computer.
Yeah. So at this point, the computer is probably not doing anything. You still see the update screen. Is that what you see?
Actually, the screen is just barely lit with the clocking little circle.
Yeah.
It's just been doing that.
Yeah. At this point, it's not doing anything. It's stuck. So what you could do is shut it off, press and hold the on-off switch till it shuts down, and then turn it on again. You don't want to do that while it's doing a disk access. But after 14 hours, I think it's done. It's just stuck. If you're lucky and you do that, it'll boot up, it'll finish the update, and you'll be back to work. So that's the first thing to try. And you've been waited long enough. I wouldn't do it after an hour, but after 14, yes, you've waited long enough. So,
Thank you so much.
Make sure, look at your disk drive light, make sure it's not blinking. It won't be. But just to make me feel better. It's not. If it's blinking, then it's doing something. You want to kind of let it, but it shouldn't take that long. What you're going to do, press and hold. It's not busy.
It's not busy at all. It's just steady. So
it's broken. It's like it's got two X's over the eyes. It's just dead. So you can press and hold it, turn it off, turn it on again, and cross your fingers. It depends on what part of the update process it failed in. It may be able to continue on, finish it. Most of the time, actually, it does, and you're good. And then from now on, I want you to just schedule those updates in the middle of the night and have it do them. You do want those updates. They're important. Just critical. You don't have to do optional updates, just critical updates.
Okay.
Those are important. Apple would make you do them too because those are security updates, and we want to protect you. And frankly, even if you weren't worth protecting, which you clearly are, you are absolutely worth protecting, Shirley. But even if you weren't, we would want to protect the internet, and a computer that has been compromised not only is a danger to its users, but to the whole internet, right? So we don't want you, it's part of being a good computing citizen. You got to do those updates. So let's hope that works. If it doesn't, then there's another step you can take, and that's to try booting up into safe mode. And you do that by, rebooting and holding down the shift key and then going into safe mode. And then try the updates again, or even you could even go to recovery. There's a recovery menu and do a repair mode. You have a backup of your data, I hope?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. I think you're probably okay. Try these two steps. And if not, call Microsoft and scream and yell at them. Because that's terrible. Shirley, at least you're not alone. This is very common.
Thank you, Lee. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Good luck. I hope it all works for you because I want you to finish your paper. My goodness. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Could be drivers. I had blue screens over and over again from the NVIDIA driver not working, remember, after the anniversary update. And then just one day, I turned it on, I updated all the drivers, updated the NVIDIA driver, and everything worked. NVIDIA figured it out and fixed it. And it might be a good time to go Mac, or even, I'm a big fan of Linux, or a Chromebook, maybe, right? Which is, a Chromebook is an easy use Linux. Mark Bakersfield, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Leo. Man, I'm so excited to talk to you. I feel a little bit like a fanboy.
Oh, thank you.
Man, love what you do. Love what you guys are about. I appreciate your organization.
Bless you.
And helping people learn tech is
that's our goal.
And I appreciate you doing it.
That's our goal. I think more than ever, we need to understand how technology works so that we can use it and also protect ourselves.
Yes.
Against those who would use technology against us.
Indeed. I own an Epson EcoTank, and so thank you for that.
Thank you for that.
Love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You make this show possible. Yes.
Hey, anything I can do. So my question is, a little bit of background. I installed home alarms at one point in my career and moved into a house that was pre-wired and put in my own alarm system. I was trying, and I'm in the process of making my alarm robust enough so that it can withstand infrastructure attacks, meaning somebody cuts off power at the main or somebody cuts off my communication routing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because all a bad guy has to do, and I presume they know this, is walk up and clip the phone wire or throw the circuit, and you got no phone. And the alarm stops working. Yeah.
It might blare the alarm, depending on if you have the battery backup functional and you've done a little load testing and that kind of work. But you won't have communication out. So there's no way of really knowing if your alarm system, the customer won't find out that their alarm.
Get ready for this. There's a new attack. A lot of these alarm systems are wireless, and burglars are now buying wireless jammers. They're buying radio jammers. So people who said, "Oh, well, I could solve this, a battery backup, and so I won't have to worry about the grid, and I'll use a cell phone, so I don't have to worry about the telco, and I'll have the wireless sensors connecting, so now the bad guys jam it." How about that?
So are they jamming the cell signal, or are they jamming the wireless sensors?
That's the point. The cell signal should still work, although I don't. Okay. In theory, they could even jam the cell signal, but that would have cell phone jammers are a big issue, and they're illegal, and I think that's unlikely. On the other hand, a simple radio jammer that jams those Zigbee or Z-Wave signals is easy.
Yeah. So anyway, my home is hardwired. My system is hardwired. And I found a service, Freedom Pop, that offers data. If you keep it under 500 megabits per month, it's free.
Right.
So I'm trying to come to a solution where I can connect my home alarm to this Freedom Pop, to a jetpack, more or less, some sort of battery redundant.
I like this. Modem. Yeah.
Yeah. So my connection out from my alarm system is Ethernet hardwire. And I'm not finding any on Freedom Pop's website that offers an Ethernet port except for, the larger ones that are not battery backup redundant. So I'm looking for a solution that will allow me to take, maybe a USB out and convert it to Ethernet, or...
There's certainly plenty of those. They're cheap too. Ethernet, Wi-Fi dongles that connect via USB. Oh, you want Ethernet? What am I saying? Ethernet dongles too. I have many of those. That's a cheap and easy way to do it. What do you? So let me tell me again. What do you have? You have USB.
So I don't have the product from Freedom Pop yet. I'm looking at the...
By the way, there is, as I remember, I would look at Freedom Pop's site and look about burglar alarms. I think they have disclaimers in there about not using them for burglar alarms. I'm not sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe because they just want to avoid liability. I seem to remember seeing that. Now, I'm an old man. My memory's fading, so I may be misremembering that. But I would certainly look... as you might imagine, a lot of these companies don't want to do this. Here is a circuit board Dr. Mom sent me. This is a CDMA radio that is basically becomes an adapter for a home system. This one works with Verizon. This is from HomeSecurityStore.com. So there are. So you understand since you did this for a living, there are lots of ways to secure this. To skin this cat, as they say. Do you want... And the nice thing about Freedom Pop, I love that. You're right. It's free as long as you don't use much. Their business model is most people will use much more than 500 megabytes. But you won't.
Yeah.
You don't care.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, and this system sips data from what I'm seeing on the hardwire connection. My hardwire connection isn't robust. It's
so
not.
Tell me what the interface. I mean, there's plenty of interfaces. What is the interface you need?
I need Ethernet. I need a copper connection.
You need Ethernet, and you need some way to connect that to the Freedom Pop device?
That's what I'm trying to do, yes.
And we don't know yet if the Freedom Pop has a USB out.
So most of the Freedom Pop devices that I've researched are Wi-Fi only.
Right.
At least the ones that are mobile hotspots.
So you want a Wi-Fi to Ethernet receiver, basically.
Well, if I can break out of I'm trying to do it as a seamless device.
Right.
Hardline from this device. So it's basically cellular to the device and the device hardline to the panel, to the alarm panel.
Yeah, this actually circuit board would work then.
Okay.
So homesecuritystore.com. I'm holding in my hand, of course you can't see it, but I'm holding in my hand, this is a little Marvell-based, Marvell is a small, inexpensive processor, a Marvell-based unit that takes, it's actually designed to be a firewall. It's a router, the smart router. And so what it does is it takes Ethernet and turns it to Wi-Fi, but I think it also goes, I know it also goes in the other direction. So they will receive a Wi-Fi signal and you connect it. And the idea is this could be used as a firewall. So you're in a coffee shop. This is from tinyhardwarefirewall.com. You're in a coffee shop. The coffee shop only has Wi-Fi. And what you'd like to do is filter it, keep the bad guys out of your system. So you connect your system via Ethernet, turn off the Wi-Fi radio on your system so it's completely protected against attack, and then all the Wi-Fi signal comes in here, is filtered, and then goes into your computer via hardline. So this would also do what you want. It would take Wi-Fi to Ethernet. And these are cheap. There's a lot of these devices out there. So in other words, it's really a matter of shopping for the right adapter that can translate from what you need. I love this idea. I'd love to know how it works out for you. Because if you could use Freedom Pop instead of a cell connection, you'd save a lot of money, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think so. As long as you don't, bring the system into the particular piece that I have will allow you to add cameras and other security devices. And I mean, just for solely the burglar alarm, the panel that I use, it really uses, well under 100 megabits a month. So I think I can keep it under that 500 budget pretty darn easily.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the direction I want to go.
I would say I just did a Google search for Freedom Pop burglar alarm, and I found a number of interesting, including a link on livingonthecheap.com, livingonthecheap.com for exactly this kind of situation. In other words, how cheap can we make a reliable home security system? I mean, your goal is security, how secure it can be, but it has a side effect of being free once you install it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love the idea. The module that I'm using allows me to control my alarm remotely, so I can control it from my smartphone anywhere. Just the other night, we were late to meet our babysitter at home, and we gave her the key and the key, and she walked in, and the door was already on.
And you opened the door and disarmed the alarm. See, this is the problem. That's exactly where we stand right now with home automation. You have to be a geek and willing to spend a lot of time getting all these things talking together, but they can do amazing things, but it's not easy enough yet. I think that's really where we're stuck right here.
Indeed.
Let us know. Very cool idea, Mark. Thank you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Cradle Point, that's another good solution. That's a 3G to Wi-Fi router. I haven't used this yet. This is brand new. 300M smart router from Tiny Hardware Firewall. USB, Ethernet, Wi-Fi. And then I guess the idea is you Velcro that to your laptop. You connect your Ethernet, or I guess USB. I don't know. I have to try it. Yeah, remember the Cradle Point? I remember that. Remember those days? Well, this is the anti-pineapple, right? It kind of is like a pineapple, right? But it's the opposite. It's to protect you against a pineapple. And the best way to protect against a pineapple and other hacking devices is to turn off Wi-Fi. Just turn off the Wi-Fi radio on your laptop. So that's the idea. This thing does the Wi-Fi, and you don't have a Wi-Fi radio going on. But this does. It's probably very similar to the Wi-Fi Pineapple Nano. It looks very similar, doesn't it?
So much more.
There, it looks exactly the same, doesn't it? I don't know. I feel like this should be. Is there a really legitimate use for this, Darren? Or is it just I feel like this should just be banned. I think Darren kind of doesn't he know that people mostly use this for illegal purposes? Well, you don't need an Ethernet port. Most laptops don't, but you have a USB to Ethernet dongle, right? Don't you? Don't you have in your dongle kit? My massive dongle kit? Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask. Leo, Scott is in Hesperia, California. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Leo. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you. Thanks for calling.
Well, I owe you many thanks, but I won't take the time to do it. You saved my house about 5 years ago. I'm so grateful.
Thank you.
I was looking at the tracker that you advertise on your network, and I'd like to give it a try. The problem is I'm part of the very elite 1% or less that uses Windows phones.
That's a good way that's actually the best way to contextualize it. We are 1%ers. We are elite.
Yeah. But of course the tracker doesn't work with that. So what I was thinking about doing was getting a very cheap Android phone unlocked that I wouldn't activate, but I would just use it on Wi-Fi networks.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah.
Be kind of like an iPod Touch sort of thing. My question is, would the tracker work, or does it require a cell network?
Does not require a cell network? Let me think. Well, wait a minute. Let me think. It's using Bluetooth. No. So there are two ways the tracker works. And the tracker is a category called Bluetooth trackers. The idea being that these little dongles can pair to your phone. You put them in your suitcase, on your keys, on your remote, on your pets. And once it's paired to the phone, you'll know when the two have parted ways, right? But that's of limited utility. That's Bluetooth only, and you could use any Bluetooth device that could run the tracker software, which is iOS or Android for that. So you could use an iPod Touch even for something like that. But that's kind of limited because Bluetooth is only good for about 100 feet. So if you leave your keys and drive off, you only will have on the tracker will just say, well, the last time I saw your keys was right here. That may be fine, right? And that's, by the way, just using Bluetooth. It's because it does need GPS, obviously. So that's something to keep in mind. Your GPS does have to work, but it doesn't have to have a map or anything. It could get that from Wi-Fi or some other way. Wouldn't have to have cell service particularly. Be better with cell service. But that's what happens. The software puts a little map up with a dot that says that's the last place I saw. That's where we were when we got separated. Then the tracker does one more thing, which is anybody who has tracker software on their phone comes within 100 feet of your tracker device. That tracker device will tell the phone, hey, let Scott know that the keys are still here. So if your keys get moved, it will still notify you, and you'll see the last place that your keys were seen by any tracker device out there. That doesn't work. Again, that requires an internet connection, but not necessarily cell.
Okay.
So you do need internet, obviously, because you need to connect to the tracker network so that you can get those updates, and you need maps. But that can be Wi-Fi, and it doesn't have to be at exactly the right time because it's just going to store those GPS coordinates and provide the map for you once you have access to Wi-Fi.
Okay. So I do a lot of well, not a lot, but I travel occasionally. And that's actually what I was more interested in, is if somebody passes by.
Right.
And you said it had to be within 20 feet?
100 feet, 30 meters. That's the, well, and it's probably a little less than that. That's the nominal distance for Bluetooth, and that will vary depending. If you put it in a metal suitcase, obviously it's not going to work very well. So it really depends. It's wire. It's radio waves. That
right.
Radio waves are magical. But yeah, around, I would say Bluetooth is pretty much guaranteed to work within 50 feet. And then from 50 to 100 feet, it will work or not, depending on the conditions around it.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds like that might work for me.
They're fairly inexpensive.
Yeah.
So it's worth, I wouldn't get 100 of them. I'd get one and see. And this is why it's tough to be I think Windows Phone is a great operating system, but this is why in general in computing, you don't want to be an outlier, because all the action happens where all the customers are, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, this is only the second thing I've seen that I couldn't do with my Windows Phone that I really wanted to do.
Then it's worth it for you, because the Windows Phone is really great in many ways.
Yeah. I love it. I have a son that has uses iPhones, and two others, my wife and another son, use Android.
Wow.
So
you're a mixed family.
Yeah.
I think the best families are mixed families. That's excellent.
Yeah. So anyway, this is just only the second thing I haven't been able to do, but that sounds like it would work. I'll just find it.
You don't care if you could do Snapchat.
No, don't care.
Your kids do. I can promise you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's exactly right. It's whatever your needs are. I would guess that's a good way to do it. Get a cheap, Wi-Fi only Android device, and I think it would do everything you need it to do. I would check next time I talk to the tracker guys, I talk to them once in a while. I'll ask them.
Okay. All right.
Hey, thanks for the call.
Well, thank you.
Take care. Thanks for listening. I'm glad I saved your house. Don't you want to know that story? Stan in Irvine. Hi, Stan. I think you're the last call of the day. Welcome.
Hey, Leo. Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
This might be an ironic question, because I tell all the people that work for me that there's no such thing as a stupid question.
There is not.
And however, this might border on that.
Okay.
And bear with
Good. I admire your bravery.
I have a book, and I have a website I've been marketing my book quite a bit with.
Good. That's the way to do it.
And the website is a WordPress website.
What's the URL? Let's give you a plug here.
It's called givingcandytostrangers.com.
Nice. Very nice. Givingcandytostrangers.com. Okay.
And that is a forwarding address.
Right.
And so my question is, am I losing anything with the web crawlers, or however Google looks at it, in terms of it being forwarded to that WordPress site?
No. You are not. I mean, there are some more sophisticated SEO issues going on, but understand that the Google crawler follows links. So if it gets to, and let's say somebody loves you and gives you a link to givingcandytostrangers.com on their blog. The Google crawler is on their blog. It sees it. Now, of course, you get some benefit from people linking to you. That's the number one way to get high on Google search results. Others linking to you. It follows that link. Now, that link resolves to now a WordPress link. Google doesn't care. It knows, okay, I'm going to follow that link, that link, that link. That's called spidering. It just goes from link to link. It doesn't put two and two together. So in terms of building a sitemap, it does it. Now, you should have your own sitemap. And there are other SEO things that are impacted by this forwarding, but they're much more minor. So the short answer is no. Go ahead and keep doing that. We're out of time. My goodness. Thanks for joining me. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great week. Bye-bye. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows on the Netcast network. It's called TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. You even get your daily dose of tech news with Tech News Today. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.